Hey podcasters, are you tired of endlessly searching for the perfect guest for your show? Well, look no further. Podmatch is the ultimate platform for connecting podcast hosts with guests. Whether you're a seasoned podcaster looking for fresh voices or an expert wanting to share your knowledge, Podmatch has got you covered. It's kind of like a dating site for podcasts. With Podmatch's advanced algorithm, finding your perfect match is just a few clicks away. Simply create your profile, specify your interests, and let Podmatch do the rest. You'll be matched with guests or hosts who align with your interests in no time. To get started today, visit www.joinpodmatch.com/Quiet Connection Podcast and start making meaningful connections that will take your podcast to the next level. Hey, welcome to Quiet Connection, a podcast dedicated to ending the stigma around postpartum mental health. This is Chelsea. Today's episode is packed. I'm talking with the incredible Sarah Johnston, entrepreneur, infertility warrior, and mom to a rainbow-loving 3-year-old with big feelings and even bigger opinions. We dive into everything from IVF and pregnancy trauma to postpartum OCD, intrusive thoughts, and why Sarah's kid had a rainbow-themed birthday party. And yes, someone did have an opinion about it. If you've ever felt like you're the only one who isn't glowing through pregnancy, or like you're just barely holding it all together in parenthood, this one's for you. Let's get into it.
Hi.
Hi, hello. Today I'm here with Sarah. How are you, Sarah?
I am doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing. Yeah.
I'm here. Like, that's kind of sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm here. It's the best we can ask.
We made it. You are on the opposite side of the country from me. So you are in the morning and I am in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And we're here. We're doing the thing.
We are. Yeah. I'm in Phoenix and listen, I consider myself to be like relatively intelligent until I moved to Phoenix, where we don't change our clocks ever. And so ever. So sometimes I am 2 hours from the East Coast and sometimes I'm 3. I, for the life of me, cannot understand time zones.
We don't need them, you know. We don't actually need them.
So right now I'm the same time zone as Pacific, but I'm not always. And so if someone's like, hey, can we schedule a meeting? And I'm like, maybe.
Yeah.
They're like, what time? They're like, what time? And I'm like, we'll see.
Right? Whenever that happens, I swear to God. So I've done this so many times now with people from all over the world, not just the country, like all over the world. And you'd think that that would mean that I would get really, really good at figuring out time differences. No, I have to Google it every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time. So, yeah, I feel you.
We did it. But it's 10 a.m. for me. So
it's 1 p.m. for me. But yeah, that's life. And we're gonna roll into it. I love this energy.
I'm happy. I grew up a performer and talks too much in class on every report card. So
me too.
Yeah,
me too. Always interrupting my peers. And yeah, so I feel that. I embody that. But I'm not gonna interrupt. What I am gonna do is ask if you can introduce yourself to listeners and let us know who was Sarah before Sarah started the journey into parenting.
Yes. So hi, Sarah Johnston. Super excited to be here. Like I mentioned, I am in Phoenix currently. We moved here about 3 years ago, actually, after my son was born. Kind of a really big reason why we moved out here is I have a lot of family out here. And, you know, even though I was almost 33, I had my son and was like, Mom, help. Like, I don't know what to do. And, you know, I love being a mom. Our journey to parenthood was definitely a challenging one. We can dive into that for sure. And I feel like motherhood has really shaped everything about who I am now, almost to the point where I don't remember life before it, right? This very different kind of difference. I started my own business about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, actually now. A big driving factor of that also parenthood of it just didn't really feel like corporate was allowing me to be both a mom and someone that worked. I will say parenting is a joy. I have a toddler, so a 3-year-old. They're a very unique vibe.
Yeah, we'll go with that term.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're a unique vibe. But it's been a really fun journey for me to also kind of figure out me now, right? Because I do feel like in a lot of ways I'm someone that does enjoy working and needs to work and wants that sense of self, but also motherhood is such a big part of me. And it's an evolving journey as they get older and as things change. But I will say, being a mom has been one of the greatest gifts of my life and my biggest teacher. I will say that as well. Um, and
Yeah.
now I kind of live in this balance of still trying to be me and who I am, and also being the best mom that I can be to my son.
I love that. I that is so relatable and so, like, I don't know, we were just before we hopped on to record, we were talking about the chaos of it all, and even when even when it feels like you're making these, like, big shifts and big choices to tame it's just a different form of chaos, and it can be
Yep.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and learning to kind of roll with it too. And I think for me, I mean, again, we can talk about all of this in as
Oh,
much
we're gonna
detail
get
as
into
you
it.
want.
Yeah.
Really having to relearn some of my own behaviors. And I'm someone that's really had to work on myself, very type A, very perfectionist, very rigid. And I've had to really undo a lot of that because it's not how a toddler is. That's just 0% how a toddler functions. So, really trying to figure out this balance of addressing my stuff too, and having to kind of continuously work on that to be able to help him thrive. Um, it's interesting what I struggled with after, thinking, okay, I feel like I'm going to struggle with X, Y, and Z as a parent. And then realizing, oh, I actually am not really struggling with what I thought, but here's a whole new set of things that are really challenging. So it's an evolving thing. And I love what you're doing here just because I think it's really important to talk about these things. Because when I do, a lot of people are like, oh my God, I felt like I was crazy. I felt like I was
Yeah.
the only one and I felt like broken. And I'm here to tell you, it's challenging and it's okay to feel like it's challenging. And I think the more people that talk about it, the more community and the more support we have from each other. So I love what you're doing here.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. And it's so interesting to me how many moms I have been talking to who are like, "Oh yeah, I'm a type A overachiever, always wanting control." And so part of me is starting to go like, were we all type A overachievers? Like, was there, or is it societal standards that were put on us that made us feel this? I don't know, but like, I'm not kidding you. This is like 5 in a row now where people were like, yeah, I had all these expectations and I thought I was in control and I'm super type A. And then life was like, nope.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know if it's the generation maybe of
Oh,
of
it very
kind of
well
how we
could
grew
be.
up. My family is like really crazily divorced and remarried. So I'm both the youngest and the middle child, which is a fun
Yeah.
thing, and I think a lot of us put a lot of pressure on ourselves growing up. And I think a lot of it too, which I stay mindful of, is like, how can we do better for our kids? Because I mean, and call a spade, kids are who they are, but I still even see sometimes my son gets really frustrated if something's not perfect, or if you line something up and it gets out of order, and trying to work with him on that too, of like, but it's okay, it's okay to feel frustrated, but trying to also teach them a better way to do things. And I think our parents did the best with what they had at the time. But a lot of us, I kind of also feel like we're told, like, suck it up, stop complaining. And it just
Mhm.
perpetuated that kind of produce, produce, produce. So it's interesting to also kind of see how my son's trying to navigate the world and help him through those things to hopefully not have him feel those really soul crushing senses of needing for control and perfectionism, because
Yeah.
it's rough. It's rough.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I am going to steer the ship and I am going to like start us down a path, but also acknowledging just from doing my quick mom brain math, I'm fairly certain we are either the same age or very close. And I'm talking to a lot of like elder millennial moms lately, and a lot of what we're talking about is this reparenting ourselves as we are parenting our kids? So
Yep.
we'll hold on to that theme and we'll go back in time a little bit and we'll talk about, I would love to know, were kids always part of the plan, part of the checklist?
Yeah. That's a great question. I mean, definitely when I've been with my husband for a long time, but I think an important question that we did need to talk to each other about is, hey, do you want kids? Because I want kids. And we both did. So that's good, right? Interestingly enough, I was always cool with the idea of one.
Mm-hmm.
And so was he. He's like, yeah, I don't really have a vision. I truly believe there are some people out there who, in the depths of their soul, know they want two or three or however many. I never really felt attached to a number of children. I just knew I at least wanted one.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got married. I was 29, maybe. I math on my end, somewhere around there. And we waited about a year to start trying. And then what ended up happening was a really tough journey to get to my son, which was very confusing and very upsetting because I had never had any previous problems. I had never been told. I had been told my whole life, you're textbook healthy, right? So I thought, hey, it'll be no problem. We'll get right to it. And so we started trying to have kids and were not finding success, like month after month, just not happening. And eventually we got to a point where we had been trying for a year. And that's kind of the marker if you're under the age of 35, where my doctor's like, yeah, maybe you should go see a fertility specialist. And we entered this wild world of trying to figure out why we were not getting pregnant. Um, and so then my feelings of like, okay, maybe it is just going to be the one, if that, right? Then we're having to grapple with these emotions of, well, we might not even get one. If we can't get
Yeah.
pregnant, we're having all these problems. What now? Right. So we went down the path of the infertility route, and they never really totally found out why. No, there was no very clear indications of X, Y, and Z is you have endometriosis or there's something happening. They were like, we don't really know why you're not getting pregnant. I was like, sweet, type A perfectionist, control. We love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the lack of knowledge. Thank
Yeah, it was
you.
like, great. And at that point, we were kind of, like a year and a few months into this. We started with some fertility treatments. We had 3 IUIs that just straight up failed. Nothing even took, just didn't even happen. And then ultimately made the decision to go into IVF because that was going to hopefully yield better results for us. And my doctor was kind of like, at this point, you can try another IUI, but like, I wouldn't recommend it. So we went down the whole path of IVF, did an egg retrieval, and there was a bunch of kind of weird issues with that as well. And I ended up with 2 genetically normal embryos, which we were so grateful for. Again, my labs looked perfect. My body looked perfect. We transferred an embryo, genetically tested. I looked great, and we miscarried.
Mm.
My doctor was like, that shouldn't have happened. That shouldn't have
Mm-hmm.
happened. And again, I'm kind of in this like, am I ever going to have a baby? Ever? You start to panic. It's really hard emotionally, physically. I mean, just all of the things. And had to go through more testing, had to end up having a surgery on my uterus, like a bunch of
Mm.
other things, to the point where we had one more embryo. We had one more shot. And I said, I had no hope going into that, right? I was so pessimistic. And what was really hard is everyone's like, just have hope. I'm like, bitch. I'm like, or my favorite, people are like, maybe it's God's plan. And I'm like,
Ooh.
okay.
Ooh.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so a lot was riding on this one singular embryo. And lo and behold, we got pregnant. And of course, my first thought is, well, miscarry it. There's no reason why this is going to stick around. And so I feel like my entire pregnancy journey was very colored by my experience, which was really hard. I never enjoyed pregnancy. I barfed a lot, which didn't help, but I never enjoyed it because I was always waiting for the other shoe
Mm-hmm.
to drop, for something to
Mm-hmm.
happen, for them to tell me it's not happening for you, etc. And so pregnancy was really hard for me. And this is where I started to open up on my own socials, right? Of like, I'm not digging this. I'm not loving this for a variety of reasons. And the amount of people that were like, oh my God, thank God. I was so scared to admit I hate pregnancy. I hate it. I'm terrified maybe they also had a journey. Maybe they just didn't like it, whatever the case may be. That entire 9 months was very fraught for me. I was very terrified. I almost kinda had to dissociate in a sense, being like, I just have to disconnect myself from this baby because if I let myself get too attached and something happens, I don't know if I can handle that. I don't know
Mm.
if I can do that. And so I really struggled and again kind of started to solidify my one and done mentality there too, where I was like, I don't know if I can do this again. Not the infertility part, the IVF part, the pregnancy part. And we are so eternally grateful and blessed. And my son was born healthy via C-section. So I had a C-section.
Mhm.
And that the second he was out of my body was the first time I relaxed and I heard him.
Wow.
I heard him cry and I was like, okay, oh, he's real. My husband's like, yeah. Like, I'm like, oh my God, he's here. Like, he's a thing. Wow. Like, I was shocked almost when I first saw him. Um, and that was the first time I sort of was able to take a breath and be like, we did it. Oh my God, we did it. And I was like, wow, wow. Oh my God. It was a very surreal moment for me. Um, getting to that point and just at least getting him here and safe. So that's 3 years. That's 3 years of chaos, right? And then we start the parenting part. But I do like to talk about my journey to get there and my experience with pregnancy because I think a lot of people feel very alone when they say like, "Oh, but you're supposed to be glowing and
Mm.
rainbows and butterflies and it's magical." And that's just not the experience for a lot of people.
It's
So
true.
yeah, I like to talk about kind of that part. Happy to dive into anything too more.
Yeah, I think so. So much of what you said, A, resonated with me. And I didn't go through a fertility struggle, but in terms of the not enjoying being pregnant and the stigma that goes along with that. And then again, like while you're pregnant, like the people that tell you things that I'm sure are well meaning, like, well, just enjoy yourself, just relax, or this is all part of the plan. So unhelpful.
Yes.
Um, I think if you take one thing away from today so far, it is, however well meaning, please don't tell someone that it's part of the plan.
It's a sucky
When
plan. That's what I want to
it's a
say to them.
really sucky plan. It's a really sucky plan.
It's
There's oh,
true.
it
It's
really
true.
is true. It really is true. And it applies to so much. And I understand too that this is a podcast where I talk to parents about the challenges of pregnancy and postpartum. So obviously that's like our wheelhouse. But just in life in general, don't ever assume. You don't know everybody's story. Ah,
Yeah. Or the
yes, it drives me.
just be grateful. And
Yes.
I've talked about this so many times, the yes and. Of course I'm grateful. Of course I am eternally grateful for also the fact that we could go through IVF, the fact that we did have
Mhm.
that as a resource. I'm grateful and I'm struggling.
Yes.
And that can
Yes.
be very true at the same time. I would say for the majority of people are really kind and comforting and have become, resources for me. Every once in a while I'll get some people that just don't get it. And I have to be okay with that, right? Like, not everyone's going to understand me and that's okay. But learning to also lean into other people that are willing to share their stories with me helped me feel like I wasn't nuts and wasn't
Yeah.
crazy. And I think so many people go into pregnancy or even parenthood with expectations or a way they think it's going to go, and it's really hard when that doesn't go according to plan. And trying to figure out how to work through that and just be open and honest about it is really important because it perpetuates those stigmas and feelings of isolation when we don't.
It's very true. It's so true. And I'm not sure if you see this as much in terms of social media. I've had to learn to be careful about the social media I'm consuming.
Mhm.
But just as hard as people like you and I are advocating for talking about the challenges and the duality of this whole experience, there is a whole other side. I don't like sides, but there's the push also to be like, why are we complaining about motherhood? Why are we scaring mothers? Why are we complaining? Like, why can't you just enjoy the little moments? And why can't we be happy? And why can't we celebrate our birth experiences without you talking about your birth? And I want to be very clear. And I'm not to you, to the listeners, because I'm pretty sure you are on this same wavelength.
Yeah.
There's room for all of us.
Mhm.
There's room for all of us, and all of our stories are valid, and we can talk about all of them, because if we don't talk about all of them, someone is going to feel, like you said, crazy.
Yes.
Someone
Yes.
is gonna feel alone. So whether that be, like, you have the most blissful pregnancy and everyone around you is miserable and you're like, "Well, what's wrong with me?" Or the opposite, you know what I mean?
And
Like
nothing. And I do
yeah.
try to share the positives too. And so, yeah, I had my own slew of things that were really, really challenging. But you know what? My C-section experience was phenomenal. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Sincerely. Like, I had an incredible experience. I felt so safe and supported, and it went really well. And so I share those things too because I don't wanna scare people into oblivion of having children, of and if you loved being pregnant, like my mom did. My mom loved being pregnant, and I was like, "Power, peace and power," but, like, not me. And there are things that I maybe don't relate to. Again, I know a lot of people do have traumatic birth experiences. I didn't, and so I actually appreciate hearing about those things, because if someone then does tell me, or a friend happens to have something, I'm like, "Oh my god, I did see something about this, and maybe something good to say here is X, Y, and Z." I think it helps you be a more supportive person in general too. So maybe you don't experience that, but if someone comes to you and is looking for support and comfort, there is something that you can do where it's like, okay, maybe I haven't experienced this myself, but there are ways I can draw from things that I've heard or seen or read that will maybe help me show up as a bit more supportive for you in this moment. So I think I get it. People also are so feisty about like their stance and their opinions. And I understand that. And some people kind of have been like, all you do is complain. And okay,
Ugh.
okay, like that's all right if you think that. I'm cool with that. But it's the high majority of people that I've gotten to meet, even you, right? These people that are willing
Yeah.
to share and sit with the challenge, and then also celebrate the times that are really good, that are super fun. So there's so much of it that I think people also, it's the reaction is their own internalized stuff that they maybe haven't worked out yet, and that's okay. And that's again kind of everyone that you've talked to and I experience of having to retrain myself in a lot of ways to react and to be and to parent. So it's challenging. All of it. Like every phase has a challenge. So I think the more we talk about it, the more we can open that conversation and not only share to get it off our chest, put it somewhere, but also be more supportive and hear different perspectives on the experience.
Yeah. And something that you said that literally, like, hit the nail on the head for me, resonated so well for me is, like, just sit in it together. Like, you
Mhm.
don't have to have a solution. You don't have to have a fix. You don't even have to have the perfect words. You can just sit in it with someone, and sometimes that's all they need.
Yes,
But
that's what
that's
I
what we're trying to do.
right, and I think a lot of us, again, maybe it's our generation, we wanna be fixers, and I have to
Mhm.
catch myself in that too of, "Hey, do you want advice or do you just want to be heard? Do you just want me to be here?" I ask that question outright to a lot of people. I say,
Mhm.
"Hey, here, I can do either. Do you simply just need to put it somewhere, or are you looking for maybe advice and solutions?" When you're so in it, sometimes it's not helpful to hear that, and I've been on the receiving end of sometimes people just kinda jump into, "Well, do this to fix it," and it's like, "Well, I don't necessarily want that advice right now. That's not
Yeah.
helping." So, it's an interesting thing, I think, for me where I'm a doer, I'm a fixer, and having to kind of pause myself even and say, like, "What do you actually need right now?"
Yeah.
And if it's just me to be here, great. I'm here. It's just nice to have that sometimes of a human
Yeah.
that is there. So
Yeah.
I try to be that. that person for others too, because I know that it's really helpful sometimes just to have compassion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can feel that from you. And it's so needed to have that capacity to just sort of be and like bringing it back to your story. So you fought so hard to get your son and to have your son and honoring that that journey wasn't pleasant and wasn't fun. I know you mentioned, like you said, some people said some things that just really didn't hit the mark. Did you have people in your corner at that time? Did you feel supported and safe in feeling your feelings?
Interestingly enough, it came from very unexpected sources. And call a spade a spade, a lot of my friends didn't go through infertility. My
Mhm.
closest people, my mom never went through it. A lot of my friends never experienced it. And so they could only be as supportive as what they could relate to. And so I think I've talked to them about this a lot too, is they're like, we don't really know what to say. And I feel like I'm saying the wrong things. And we've had many discussions about that. But I found a lot of comfort in strangers. Honestly, what started out as strangers, now a lot of them deeply close friends, right? Sharing on the
Mhm.
internet. It's what our parents told us not to do. Don't talk to strangers on the internet. I'm like, it's all I
Yes.
do.
That's what we do. That's what I do all the time.
Right. And so it came from some pretty unexpected sources. And I've also had to really learn and lean into the fact that not, it's okay if someone can't be the support that you need. And I've had that conversation too of like, please don't be offended if I'm not coming to you first with a question I have about infertility if you didn't have that. And the people in my life definitely get that. So it's come from some interesting places, a lot of me sharing and connecting with other people in the infertility community. Now a lot of them were in this parenting journey together, which has been a fun evolution and progression. But really I would say if you're in the depths of something, being open to unexpected places that may be a source of comfort for you and letting that be what it is. And I think that was a surprising part of this is you think, oh, the people that have known me the longest are going to be there for me. And they want to so desperately, but there's a level of disconnect that they're not going to really get or they're not really going to understand. And so I really reached out and leaned on, different types of people, support groups, internet besties. I've known a couple of
Yeah.
these folks for a long time now, and letting myself be open to the support that is offered and given. So I did find a really good group, and I am so grateful for some of these people I have that got me through. Even my husband, he doesn't get a lot of it.
Yeah.
He does, he's like, I can't understand what it feels like to be pregnant. Or, yes, I'll go and get you a cheesecake because you yelled at me that I didn't bring one home, even though you didn't tell me to bring one home.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
I didn't read your mind. I'm really sorry.
Chelsea, I literally was like, you should have known to call and ask me if I wanted a cheesecake. He was like, okay.
Yeah. 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 That sounds familiar.
So it's a little confusing because it's the people you think, right? These are the closest to me. These are my typical confidants that might not be the ones to guide you if they don't have experience with it. And I also offer myself up to that too, right? A lot of people I'm so absolutely honored they choose to share with me because they know that I've experienced something like that before. And my DMs and messages are always open to a lot of people say, I'm so sorry if this is weird. I'm like, it's not weird. Yay.
No.
This is what you should be doing because we're not supposed to go at it alone. And whether it's infertility or parenting, because, like, my struggle didn't stop also when I gave birth. There was a whole
Right.
other set of things that came with that. And so it's evolving too of kind of what you need and learning to ask for that help is really big. And it's really tough for a lot of us, really tough.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you too of do it myself and I got this. And at a certain point, whether that be friends, family, people on the internet, or, even mental health professionals, right? At a certain point postpartum, I was like, and we can talk about this for sure too, is I was like, I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
having thoughts that feel good.
Mhm.
I think I need to call in some professional help right now. And I did.
Yeah. I mean, that was actually I was gonna go into that, like, after after going through an entire pregnancy where you sort of had to dissociate to be able to make it through, and then having your son arrive, it must have been so, like, it must have blindsided you when you started experiencing these other symptoms that you're like, what the hell? Like, I have what I
Yes.
want.
Yes. So I'll walk you kind of through prior to my son diagnosed ADHD, OCD. So I knew about those. And the way that my OCD presents in general is intrusive thought. And then it ruminates
Mhm.
over and over and over. And so I had my son and I was doing all right for a little bit. And then I had started to have these very terrifying intrusive thoughts where not only was it a scary thought, but what really started to freak me out was I would be doing something to my son. So I'd be walking down the stairs with him and my brain would go, just throw him.
Yep.
And I would panic because I'm like, why did I just think that? Right? Like, what the absolute heck? I don't want that. What is going on? Or that I would wake up and he would be like tangled in the sheets and I was
Mhm.
clawing at my legs and screaming, or we would be on a walk and I would envision like a truck hitting us, just really terrifying things that were happening. And then they would just play over and over and over in my brain. And it started to get to the point where I was like, I think I need to call my therapist and my psychiatrist and tell them what's happening because it would be freaky regardless. But the ones that I was like, push them out the window, I literally can't even explain like the despair I would feel after those because I felt like a terrible mother. I felt like I don't deserve this child. I can't even think good thoughts, right?
Yeah.
What is wrong with me? And the way that my therapist and psychiatrist worked with me, and I upped my antidepressants. We worked with a couple different things to help me through this, was they also helped me start to understand how my unique brain was allowing this to happen. And kind of what ended up happening with me was my brain moves very fast. My brain works differently. And so a danger that could be presented. So you're going down steep stairs with a baby. A typical brain might think, hold on to the railing so you don't fall down. My brain goes, throw him down the stairs. Like, it's a warning of danger that your brain is just working way too fast. And so what really helped me was, which is it was an interesting way to think about it, was I would actually thank my brain when I would
Mm.
have an intrusive thought. I would say, brain, thank you so much for reminding me that this is a dangerous situation and I need to be careful walking down these stairs. Thank you for making sure that I can stay safe and I'm aware of my surroundings. Thank you. Thank you. And then as we worked with medication also in tandem, those thoughts were a little bit more managed and under control. And I was really scared to open up about it because honestly, like, again, in that state too, my brain's like, CPS is going to take the kids away. It's going to take them away
Mhm.
because they're going to see me talking about this and think she wants to throw her kid down the stairs or out the window. Like, we got to go get them. So I was really scared to talk about it for stigma, people looking at me like, what is wrong with this woman? I was met with outpouring of love,
Mm.
outpouring of responses and messages. People are like, I experienced this. I'm so sorry. I'm on the other side now, but I'm here for you. People saying, hey, I'm experiencing this right now. And I thought I was broken and alone. And it was so helpful for me to identify the feeling and identify what was happening because it's part of my story and it's part of my experience. It was I am open book, right? I have no
Yeah.
problem sharing. That was one where I was like, I'm terrified to admit that this happened to me. And I am grateful that it was met with a lot of support and a lot of love. And I am able to talk about it now as part of my journey.
Something that is sort of repeating in you talking about your story is your ability to be vulnerable. And one of the things that I like to tell people is like, your vulnerability is your strength. And yeah, and so intrusive thoughts, like, girl, I know the intrusive thoughts. Like, I also have diagnosed OCD as
Mhm.
well as all other kinds of alphabet things, but
A to Z.
oh my god, all the things. It's really fun. I call my household a neuro sparkly household.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
used to say neurospicy, but I don't feel like I'm spicy. I feel like I'm a little more sparkly.
Yeah. I love that. I love
But
that.
my point in saying that is like intrusive thoughts, A, are super common when you become a parent and don't necessarily have to stem from having some sort of diagnosis either.
Right.
Like they can just happen because you become a parent because like you said, your brain is working overtime and then you add in
Exhausted.
sleep
Right.
you add in sleep deprivation, you add in just worry for this new little human that you're supposed to keep alive. So I do whenever a guest talks about it, I like to highlight it a little bit because A, you are not a bad mom. B, seeking help, just like Sarah said, is the best thing that you can do for yourself. Having those thoughts of, oh my God, they're going to take my kids away from me again is another very common thought.
Yep.
But most of, I would say, the majority, if not every time, if you are seeking help, if you are saying, hey, I'm having these thoughts, I don't like them, I don't want to do something about them, CPS is not going to come into your house and take your children
Right.
away. They're going to say, let's get you the support that you need. And then I also always, thanks to I call them pocket friends, like, so friends that I've met through the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thanks to a pocket friend named Aisha who experienced postpartum psychosis, I always make sure to distinguish between intrusive thoughts
Yes.
and delusions. And
Yes.
so, we're talking about intrusive thoughts. And you can even have intrusive thoughts if you don't have kids. Like my
Oh,
husband,
and I did.
right?
And
Like, yeah,
one, I
yeah.
guess, lucky, I don't know if that's the right word, is I at least knew this about myself beforehand. Like, I at
Hmm.
least knew that my OCD, with pairings with ADHD and all the other things, were in the form of these types of intrusive thoughts. They were just different before I had my son. So,
Yeah.
in a way, I was like, okay, I'm glad that I kind of feel like I know potentially why this is happening. And I have some other thought around it. But like you said, it can kind of come out of nowhere too, which I'm sure is extremely terrifying. I was
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, hey, you're back. Like, all right,
Right. Like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
I've seen you
Like,
before.
yeah.
But it can kind of come out of nowhere too. And then yes, the distinction between that and like a true postpartum psychosis or delusions is very different. And I also think it was important for me to be able to speak them aloud to my husband too. I was like, you're probably not going to understand this, but hey, I really need to get back on the line with my psychiatrist and my therapist because I'm having these thoughts. And I'm so blessed with who he is as a person because he's like, how can I help? Like, what can I do?
Oh,
You know,
yes.
sweet man. And after the cheesecake incident, I'm surprised he, wanted to stay.
I mean, that speaks a lot to his character. He stuck around.
He was like, but I think just speaking them aloud is even just a really good first step of like telling someone, right? And I think it can feel really overwhelming of like, I don't even know what to do next. I don't even know what to say or who to talk to, but even just speaking them aloud starts to take away some of the shame if it's living within you, right? It's
Hmm.
living within you. And I always speak up about this too of like intuition in general, but especially when you're a parent. Like if you feel like something's off, it's off.
Hmm.
Something is telling you. You got to listen to those things that are deep within your soul of like something doesn't feel right here. And take some time to not just say, "Ooh, I'm just stressed. Oh, it's just normal," because you deserve to kind of work through those and feel those. And so I'm glad I listened and I'm glad that I did get the help that I needed and we worked through that. It still kind of comes up here and there. It's much more managed now,
Hmm.
but I'd be lying if I said it's still every once in a while. I don't get something where I'm like, "Oof, you're back. Hi." But it helps to at least know and have the resources and tools to work through those things now.
Absolutely. I love the way that you're talking about it too. I not so lovingly years and years ago before having kids nicknamed my OCD brain and my intrusive thoughts my bitch brain. It's my
Hmm.
bitch brain. And so my therapist and my husband and I, when we get there and when I'm in that space, I'm like, oh my God, shut up, bitch. And it's not like a derogatory term towards like women. It's literally just what I have named this side of me. And it's so helpful. Like,
I
it's
love
really,
that. I love
it's
that. I
like,
should name mine too. Maybe like
right?
Darla or like something
You
weird.
could anything. And the only reason that we went with bitch with my brain was because she's so mean. Like, she's so mean. So it felt empowering to just be like, oh my God, shut up.
But yeah, it's nice to be able to also then like take a little bit of that control back, right? Of like,
Mm-hmm.
so the reason I think why that exercise they had me do was actually thanking my brain is it gave me the control. I'm like, thank
Mm-hmm.
you. You know what? Thank you. I'm recognizing that you're doing something. Thank you for keeping me safe. I'm in control now of this. I can take some of that power back. And just the same thing, right? Shut up, bitch, right? Like you're taking ownership and more control kind of over that situation where it is pausing, recognizing, and then taking the appropriate course of action. And there's no right way to do it. There is no right way to go through this or work through it. If that is what helps you, that's what helps you. And that's what's so unique about parenting as well is like what worked for me isn't going to work for you and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to kind of share and say what did work for me. But sometimes it takes a couple different tries of like, okay, that's maybe not driving with me, but is there something else that can or that will? And so the journey is like both not universal, not everyone experiences that, but like it's both common and also unique, which is a really weird
Yeah.
parenting thing.
Well, it's perfect. That's actually perfect how you worded it because I'm super intentional about not using the word normal
Hmm.
because a lot of say like, "Oh, that's normal. That's normal in parenthood. That's normal in motherhood." Well, it's not normal, but it is common.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean it's common and it's weird. It's common and it's unique. It's common and it's really hard. And it's again, like we keep going back to it's this duality. It's
Yes.
not right? So, I think the way that you worded it is perfect.
Yeah.
It's common and it's unique.
And it's interesting because a lot of my friends now, we have kids pretty much in the same age range. And some people will even ask me, like, oof, how did you get rid of the passy? And I'm like, my kid never took one. Like, I don't, I
Right.
might not be the best resource for you. I know it's really common and a lot of parents really struggle with, weaning off the pacifier. It's just not something that I know or I can share. Or even a lot of us have to potty train, right? But like what worked for my kid
Mhm.
might not work for yours. It's this constant reminder to ourselves too that like if something's not working for you or your child, to also not say like my kid's broken because they're deeply unique individuals as well and deserve to be treated as such. I think we've also gotten to a point where we expect our kids to be robots with sleep,
Mm.
with eating, with potty training, with speaking, with walking, with all of these different types of, I guess, milestones, we'll call them. We expect them to be robotic, and parents kind of freak out if their kid's not following the sleep thing. Oh, like they're supposed to
Well,
sleep
it's
for
even
2 hours and they
I
slept for one
know.
hour, and
Well,
it's
it's the training. Like when you said potty training, but you could put training after every single word you just listed,
yep,
and there's a program out there for it.
yep.
And there is some parent feeling like they have to follow that. There's sleep training, there's food, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes, the
and
best thing I ever
yeah.
did for my mental health was leave parenting groups, leave
Mhm.
pregnancy groups, leave it. Unfollow Instagram accounts that, claim all these people are having success with whatever because the second that I actually started listening to my kid more, my life got so much better. Got so much better when yeah, we have, he's not completely feral and like running amok, but like we do have some semblance of routine, but starting to lean more into like, you know what? My kid just tends to be, he likes to go to bed around 9. And I know for a 3-year-old, maybe some people think that's late. Some people maybe think that's early. I don't know. But it's what works for him. And trying to force him to go to bed at 7:30 not only is terrible for him, it's terrible for me. It's
Yeah.
terrible for me. And so the more that I started to listen and let him guide was when I started to feel a little bit more successful with, working with him rather than trying to force him. And again, this is where it gets challenging because I did have to let go of a lot of my rigid nature and perfectionism. And I like things to be checked off and I like things to be done in order. And that's not how it is. But I will say starting to really let him lead has been, and it's easier now that he's a little older and can talk and verbalize some more stuff. But that's been a really big lesson for me too, is I can't expect my kid to be me or my husband. Yeah, we made him, but like he's his own person. He's his own person. And how can I work with that rather than against it? And that's, been a really kind of interesting path to navigate, especially as he's in toddlerhood now and the independence trying to come in and the do it myself era and all the things. So,
Whew. Yeah.
uh-huh.
We're deep into that in my house right now. And this is concept also too is leaning into really validating and recognizing them as their own people
Mhm.
or as their own person, is a concept that I recently explored on my other podcast, which is a panel podcast. But it's something that we talked about, and we talked about how, like, we were talking about consent and how you can teach consent in literally anything. And that really does go along with respecting your child as an individual. And I made the joke of like, I'm like, you can laugh at me, but I do say like, do you want to give me a hug? Or like, I love you. You don't have to say I love you back, or like
Yep.
she knows those things. But I'm like, but I'm also not compromising on, I'm not like, do you want to eat your vegetables or do you want
Yeah.
to take a bath? Because that's something completely different. So you can honor your child as an individual and just sort of revel in the chaos of all of it while also maintaining control over their safety and
Yeah.
well-being.
My
Yeah.
my rule of thumb is kind of like if no is an acceptable answer, it can be a question. If no is not an acceptable answer, we're going to have to pick something else. Like
Right, like, give options that
you
get you to the
can't
place you wanna go.
you have to wear shoes to the park because you have to. So do you want the blue shoes or the white shoes, right? Not
Yeah.
because if I say, "Do you want to put your shoes on?" He'll be like, "No."
No.
And that's right. But like same thing. And I actually was really impressed with my doctor because he just had his 3-year checkup recently. And before she wanted to look underneath his underwear, she said, "Okay, it's really important that I tell you what I'm about to do, but I also would like to ask both you and your mom if it's okay. And if
Wow.
you say no, that's okay. And also, everyone should be asking this type of question. That's not your mom or your dad. Everyone should be asking this type of question." I was really impressed with that because it teaches them early on, you know, what that is. And I think speaking of kind of like generational things, I feel like we were always kind of forced of like, go give your
Oh,
auntie
yeah.
whoever a hug. And
Mhm.
you're like, I don't really want to.
Mhm.
So it's balancing that and also like allowing him to be who he is, but he also needs direction because he's 3. If it was up to
Yeah.
him, he'd be eating like candy and watching whatever and in his underwear only all day, right? Like there's needs to be
Yes.
some direction
I
here.
would have Paw Patrol on 24/7 with a constant stream of goldfish and or donuts,
Yes.
and that I mean, yeah, and
Yeah.
a diaper and no, or not a diaper, a pull-up and no
Oh,
clothes.
yeah, you're like, okay. So it's balancing all of that now and figuring out the best way to empower them and let them be who they want to be. And interestingly enough, the he's a vibe. All right, my kid's a vibe.
Yeah.
That's the
I
only way
feel
I can
that.
explain it. And his birthday was recently, and I asked him, I said, "What do you want your birthday party theme to be?" And he said, "Rainbow." I was like, "Just rainbow?" He's like, "Yeah." I got shade for it.
For having a rainbow party
Hmm.
for
He's 3.
and I'm assuming yeah, and I'm
Hmm.
assuming it's the whole gender LGBT yeah, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I said, when I ask him, "Hey, why do you love rainbows?" It's all the colors, so I don't have to pick one. A, smart. And he's like,
Yes.
"They're fun."
Yes.
And I'm like, he's 3 years old. He is a happy-go-lucky, he's vibrant, he's fun, he's funky, he likes what he likes, and that's what he asked for. If he had asked for sharks, I would have done it. If he had asked for, whatever, I would have done it. But that's what he asked for. And most people were very normal about it, but I did get a little bit of shade. They were like, "You're teaching him that that's okay." And I'm like, "'Cause it is."
It is okay.
Like, it is. Like, I don't understand.
Oh.
Um, so kinda like
Yeah.
balancing that too of like you're always gonna get opinions. And I don't really care, but like, it's just weird to me. I'm like, you really gonna have an issue with a 3-year-old's birthday party?
Yeah, I'm
But
sorry.
it
I'm really
happens.
sorry that touched something in you that,
It was like, whatever.
I love okay, these are my I'm not supposed to have favorites, but these are my favorite kind of episodes because I go in I don't ever really go in with an assumption, but I usually go in with an idea of a direction of an episode that the episode might take. And this has completely been like, we're not even on the same boat that I thought we were going to be, which is so not that we aren't, like, we're on the same
Right.
boat together, but I love this. I
We
just
missed the
love
other one.
this.
I mean,
We
shocking to no
missed
one.
the
I've
other
like
boat.
derailed something, like
Oh
literally.
my God. No, but it's perfect because we're talking about things and we're normalizing things, and it doesn't always have to be a, a sad story, or it doesn't always have to be trauma. There's space for that. And we talked about that too. Like, we talked about those things that are real and that are heavy. And then we also talked about how both of us, you and I, are both in this season of parenting. We're both parenting 3-year-olds. I'm really curious to know my daughter just turned 3, like on June 27th.
June 13th. So they're
Yeah, very
weeks.
close. Very close. So we are in a very similar season of parenting our 3-year-olds. And that's a vibe and that's its own thing. And it's okay to talk about that too.
Yes.
And
Yes.
highlighting, like you have beautifully so many times, that your story is not my story, is not the next person's story, is not the next person's story, but we can still find common threads and we can still sit together, and
Yes.
we can either just sit and be, or we can laugh like we've been laughing and be like, this is really effing hard. This is hard.
But
Like,
then
yeah,
it's
it
the
is.
beautiful things. Like he crawls into my bed in the morning and he's like, I love you, and just wants to snuggle for a little bit. He also has meltdowns because he's demanding to bring a fake skeleton around that we got during Halloween. And I'm like, you can't bring that into like, like there's big feelings.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
and I like to say this too, is like what I struggle with now is not what I struggled with when he was a newborn or when he was
Hmm.
1, because it changes really fast too.
Yes.
And sure, he sleeps like a rock now. And so I was really sleep deprived when he was a newborn. And there was all these other things. And now I'm not experiencing some of those, but it brings about a new round of things. And it was funny because like sometimes I'm like, I asked my mom, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And she's like, you're 36 and I don't know what I'm doing. So I was like, oh, helpful.
Yeah, you know what though? She said the thing. She said, because I have said those exact words to my mother. I'm like, Mom, first of all, I don't feel like an adult. Second of all, I don't feel like I can be someone's mom. Like, when does that change? And her response was just like, oh, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it'll come to you. No, your mom said it out loud.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, you have 4 kids.
And isn't it so funny to think back when we were younger?
Yeah.
And we're like, oh yeah, mom's a grown up. Mom's
I
knows what she
distinctly remember when my mom turned 40 being like, oh my God, she's like 40. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And thinking they know it all, right? And then come to find out my mom's like, I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
No.
And I'm like, great. So it brings me comfort in a way too, because I think a lot of times it's trial and error, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
being willing to just kind of roll with it and go with it. And I think a big piece of it too is like admitting I don't always get it right. I have to apologize to my kids sometimes. I lose my temper.
Yes.
I am not always this even keeled, person in therapy for a long time that's really working on it. I lose my shit sometimes and I don't get it right. I don't do it right. And I have to apologize to him or say like, hey, FYI, that wasn't great. And I think it's important to admit those things too, of like, you're not a bad parent if after the 700th time your kid throws something directly at your head, you kind of lose it a little, right? Like you're not,
Yes.
so I don't know. I love talking about this stuff. And I'm so glad that you kind of went with this, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like parenting goes in so many directions and we've just
Oh
been
my
kind of
gosh, yeah.
chatting, but I think we could talk about this for probably 10 more hours.
That's the
Experiences.
challenge.
Yeah.
Right? That's the challenge of trying to do this as a podcast because really we could keep just talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. But it is my job as the host to steer the ship a little bit. So I am going to try to I'm going to try to wrap it around. But yeah, I love so much about it. And it also, I love the vibe. I love being able to meet another person who feels so passionately about just being vulnerable. And
Mhm.
being vulnerable is not a scary thing. And it's also not like sometimes when you hear the word vulnerable or vulnerability, you almost like curl in on yourself. And I don't believe that. I picture an open book.
Yep.
Like I just picture like this is me and this is what it is and you can be here with me in it or you don't have to be and that's cool. And so I love meeting people who are kind of that mindset because that's what we need more of, especially in the parenting space.
Yep.
Especially the parenting space. I'm curious, and I again, I don't like to assume, but I think I probably know the answer. Your son's 3, but my daughter's 3 as well. Do you kind of talk about this kind of stuff with him in terms of, like, mental health and feelings and big feelings and stuff like that?
Yeah, I try to, especially if he has some big feelings or whatnot, we kind of try to talk about it of, okay, like what were you feeling? I was feeling angry. Okay, why? And I try to remind him, um, it's normal and I'm not scared of your feelings. I am not scared of any type of emotion that you have. It is 100% normal and okay to have all of these feelings. Um, but what we do with them is important. And
Mhm.
I haven't really gone into like, I had postpartum
Yeah.
OCD intrusive
Yeah.
thoughts. He doesn't really like,
That's a conversation for a few years
yeah,
down
but
the
I
yeah. Yeah.
definitely will say, especially if I do something, I will say, like, you know what, buddy, mommy mommy doesn't always get it right, and mommy was feeling really frustrated and she shouldn't have yelled or she shouldn't have done that. Sometimes mommy gets sad, sometimes she's happy. He's seen me also like crying before over like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was like crying over a TikTok of like God knows what, but I was crying. And
We've
he's
all
like,
been
oh
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, are you sad? And so I think it's important that he sees me in those different types of states too, because I think a lot of us grew up, at least in our generation, our parents did not break frame.
Mm-mm.
And it was really hard to like they did it in private. And I think a lot of us are just more open now. And so we talk about it. And if I do get angry at something or if I'm frustrated with him and whatever, we talk about it. If he's upset about something, I also try to like encourage it when he's really excited or happy too, right? Like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this seems like this was something that was so fun for you. What did you like about it? Seems like it made you really happy. So we talk about it a lot, and I will continue to. My household is very open about that, so he's going to be hearing about it for the rest of his life. But we try to make it as normal as possible. That feelings are here. Everyone has them. Not every day is the same. It's okay if you get frustrated. It's okay if you get upset. It's okay if you need help, if you need. And then I ask him too, like, do you want space or do you want a hug? Do you want to do this or do you want to do that? Right here, there's options that we can do when you're feeling frustrated. Have a drink of water, go take some space, go cuddle up on the couch, give a hug to mommy. Like, there are a variety of things that you can do here to help. We're working on it every day, right? But we do talk about
Yeah.
it a lot in our house. Yeah.
What I think I love the most about literally everything you just said is that you could say the exact same thing to a new
Mhm.
mom. All of those things that you just said to new moms or seasoned moms who are feeling like I suck at this. This is hard. I don't like it. I suck at this. Nope. You're allowed to have feelings.
Yes.
You can feel your feelings. Everybody has feelings and you can take a break or you can drink some water. Like everything, it all applies.
It all applies, and I think giving them the empowerment too to say like, okay, and he frequently picks different things. Sometimes he wants the hug, sometimes he's like, I need space, and I'm like,
Yes.
sometimes it's whatever. And I think it's important for him to also see me as valuable, right? Like, hey, I am a bad bitch, right? I am, but also I have bad days.
Yeah.
And some days, honestly, the other day I was just in a rotten mood. and could not get out of it. I was rotten all day, unsure why, right? Nobody knows.
Who
And
knows?
I even say to my husband, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm rotten right now. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to be rotten. And just heads up, right? Like, I don't know what's going on with me. I woke up the next day, felt much better, right? Like, I think even just communicating about it in general in your household,
Yeah.
where I'm like, it's nothing you're doing. P.S. I'm just feeling rotten. So
Yeah.
a heads up, it'll pass. And the next day I told him, I was like, I feel better. I'm good. I don't know what that was, but it was there. So I think it doesn't leave people wondering too of like, did I do, or is mom mad at
Yeah.
me? Or
Yeah.
I think it's just open layers and just keeping it really clear of like, hey, I just feel like crap today and it's going to be what it is. And
Yeah.
FYI.
And that's okay. And that's
Yeah.
okay. That's how
Yeah.
today's going to go.
Yeah.
I just want to say again, like, I have loved this conversation because it's been so layered, but in the best ways. We've talked about the hard, we've talked about the joy, we've talked about the intrusive thoughts, and we've talked about the glimmers. And both of us know that this is going to change. It's going to keep changing. And the
Probably in a
things that
half
are
hour.
challenging, right? And the things that are challenging today might not be a challenge tomorrow, but there's going to be something else that we're going to learn that's going to
Yes.
come up. I always end my episodes on one of two questions, and I use the majority of our time to decide which question. I like to get to know you before I decide which question to ask you. And I think the one I'm going to choose for you is, we've talked about so many things. Well, before I ask the question, these will be in the show notes, but for the people who don't check the show notes, which you should, there's good info in there. Where can my listeners find you if they would like to learn more about you?
Yeah. Instagram's usually where I am the most active at Sarah D. Johnston. That's typically where you'll get a hold of me the fastest. You can also shoot me an email, sarah@sarah-johnston.com. Pretty active in there as well, but I always love connecting with people. Please, some people are always like, I was a little scared to DM you. Never be. I love it. I live
No, I
for
feel the
it.
same way.
Live
I
for
feel the
it.
same way.
So
I'm like, please, please DM me. Yes.
always, always, always open. And I love more internet besties. So come at me.
Yes. Okay, perfect. And again, check the show notes, friends, because there's going to be a lot of good info in there. Back to, there was my mom brain. Back to the question. We covered a lot, but if you had to pick just one nugget, just one little thing that you hope my listeners walk away with when they listen to your episode, what do you hope that is?
Connection is powerful, and you are not alone in any experience that you might be having, and people want to be there. So don't feel like you have to go at it alone. Use your support, use your people, and lean on that. Because honestly, if we don't sometimes also just like laugh about it, we'll cry.
Yeah.
Community, 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 and find it and lean into it.
Huge thank you to Sarah for sharing your story with so much honesty, humor, and heart. If you're nodding along or feeling less alone after this episode, I want to hear all about it. You can find Sarah on Instagram at Sarah D. Johnston. And as always, everything we talked about is linked in the show notes. If today's episode resonated with you, we'd love it if you left a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It's a small act that makes a really big difference, and it is so appreciated. Want to stay in the loop and connect with our community? Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Threads, and Blue Sky at Quiet Connection Podcast. We're sharing real stories, resources, and reminders that you're never alone in this. If you'd like to support the show and gain access to bonus content, early episodes, and other goodies, check out our Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee pages. Those links are also in the show notes. If you want to share your personal journey, you can contact us through our website or at quietconnectionppmh@gmail.com. Join us next time when another story is told and you realize you are not alone. I see you.